Hi guys, Tiffany here. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday. Today's Sunday. So, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to my quilting life. 2 seconds while I get this thing going. I am a bit behind today. Lots of things to do, plus the kids and so on and so forth. Just a little bit of everything. I'm out of breath because I was just outside doing stuff. So, let me turn this down. All right. What? Love you too. All right, so today is a brand new project. Oh yeah, that's right. I designed something new. Hi Sandy, hi Vicky. Oh, that's fine. Oh, you're trying to edit a video or are you online? Because I thought I checked to see if anyone was online. Um, anyway, so today is a brand new pattern that I created myself. So I'm going to show everyone what we will be making. And hello, Linda. All we need to do is make one block, because one block makes the whole block, if that makes any sense. It's a, I guess you would call it one block wonder, because one block makes the whole thing. So, alrighty. Oh, okay, downloading it. All right, that's. I thought you were at least like on. So, all right, let me move some things out of my way, and I'm going to take you guys over to see what we are going to start making. Hello, Tiff. All right, I'm not used to saying my own name because my name is Tiff as well. Well, everyone calls me Tiff. So, this is what we are making, guys. Obviously, the lighting sucks and the camera sucks, so you would normally see it normal, but that is what it looks like. And I'll come up close. I have no name for this yet. And there's more than one block, so let me place you down right here and show the other block, because there's two. Two so far of 4 that need to be made. And that's number 2. And there's number 2. So this is totally not made by how it looks, though, let me tell you. This is made quite a bit differently. So let me put you guys back over here. And all right, so this project, this wonderful block, is 30 inches. I have to make sure one more time because I totally didn't remember just now. I have it written down on my paper. Let's see, is it 30 inches? Yep, 30 inches. So this block finishes at 30 inches. So these other blocks are 15 and a half inches technically. So, and it creates this. And what you need to make this no-named quilt so far, because I have no name for it yet, is a jelly roll. So you go and find your favorite jelly roll, and I recommend, again, like before with most of my patterns, it's best to have a jelly roll that has 2 of the same color. Unless you have some batiks that you have quite a few of the same, colors, it would look amazing in batiks, I think. But this project just needs a jelly roll, and I had put one together of my own, which I've been working on this obviously, so I'm left with enough for 2 more blocks. That's my own homemade jelly roll. So, alrighty. We're going to get started, and I'm going to angle the camera just a little bit differently so that I can tell you guys all the cutting instructions and so on and so forth as best as I can do it. So, like I said, this is jelly roll. So you could tell that these 2 are the same color, these 2 are the same color, those are the same color. But if you look at it from afar, it actually looks like charm. So it's kind of the point of this. So what we are going to need not only is a jelly roll, but you need some yardage. So when I say background color, mine just happens to be white. You can choose whatever color that goes along with your jelly roll. a color that would pop those so that you could see these floating flying geese. It's kind of put together just like a log cabin. There's just a couple things to pay attention to with it. So you need 2 yards, and I did the math on this one completely with how much is needed. I was watching myself and writing it down every time I cut something. So 2 yards is what's going to get us this. And we're making 4 small blocks makes 1 big block, and 4 big blocks makes 1 quilt with sashing in between. The finished design has sashing in between. I obviously don't have it yet because I've only made 2 so far. So, hello Sonia, hi Diane. So that is what we're doing. 2 yards. And from those 2 yards, we are going to cut. Now, I don't know if you guys want to write this down or if I should just put it in the description later, which I probably will since I cannot figure out how to add pictures to do PDFs, you know, properly. So 2 yards of fabric. 28 strips are going to be 1.5 inch strips. 8 strips are going to be 2.5 inch strips. Those are the subcuts from yardage. From the jelly roll, we'll get to that all right now. So let me change the camera angle and we'll start going through this. All right. I'm going to face this down here. And we're going to start with my rest of my homemade jelly roll. Those are my pieces. We're going to start when you cut your background color. Make sure it's a color or you have a marking tool that you can write on, because every single one of your subcuts from your 2.5 inch strips, the 2.5 inch strips, the only reason why you need 8 of them because they're being subcut into 2.5 inch squares, which then in turn you take a marking tool and on every single one of your little squares you're going to draw a line from corner to corner. And let me bring my phone closer so I can see right here. I just use pencil, by the way. Hi, Michelle. No, just 2 yards of one background color. This one is just one background color. Let me pull this block down again so that I can show you guys. So this one is just one background color and one jelly roll for this quilt. So our background color is all the whites you see. So these are our 2.5 inch squares that create this part, and these are the 1.5 inch strips that create this part on the whole thing. And like I said, it's kind of put together like a log cabin, well, like a half log cabin, I should say. But you'll see. So we're taking those 2.5 inch strips, subcutting them into 2.5 inch squares, and then you're going to draw on your 2.5 inch square with a marking tool from corner to corner. And just draw a line. However you mark your, I usually don't mark them, I just go, but I'm marking them for this project because when we start putting them together, you are going to see why they need to be marked so you know which way you're sewing your piece. It kind of makes it easier to know which way they're going to be sewn. I'm just trying to mark on the side where you guys can see me marking these. But it's actually not working for me. I'll have to turn it this way so that I can do this. But each block gets, hold on, I gotta think right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each quarter block of this one big square gets 5 of your background color, 2.5 inch squares. See, I really wish I could write a pattern. It would make it so much easier for this. So every 5 of these for one block. So I just marked some for now so that we can do the subcuts for everything else. I highly recommend that you have, because some of these are going to be very large subcuts, I highly recommend that you have your 6 by 24 inch ruler for this project. Took your letter to the post office before it snowed, so I don't know when it's going to get there. Oh, that's fine. Just share this video for 2 minutes. Yes, share, share, share. All right, guys, so what we're going to do is I'm going to choose 2 of the same colors. And I'm just kind of going at random at ones that I have 2 of. Oops, what did I just do that for? I need 4. We're going to do 4. We'll do this one. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 of each jelly roll strip, 2 colors, 2 of the same color, 2 of each strip. And this is how this works, because leftover cuts makes the next block, if you know what I mean. So we're going to take 1, and I'm going to open it up. And it's good to have your strips pressed and or starched if you want, because I realized that I should have been starching them all from the beginning, but I wasn't. And we're going to start with the larger cuts real quick to get them done and out of the way, because we need the leftover material for the larger cuts.
Hello.
That's not facing, it's facing down. Scott's in here. He said hello, everyone. And I'm going to stack 4 colors on top of each other. So again, if you want to press or iron your jelly roll, I highly recommend it.
So I can read.
As long as you can see what I'm doing.
Michelle says great thumbs up for you, and then Vicky said hi to me, and then I can't read them.
Yeah, because they disappear. It's
Yeah.
not my fault.
Diane says she starches everything before she cuts.
Usually I do too, but this project was, I did it on a whim, and I chose some of my own pre-cuts and made my own jelly roll out of florals and such. So, and by the way, I did finish my cat's quilt, and he has been loving it, keeping him off of the rest of my stuff, so he has his own little quilt.
Hi Diane, I'm doing pretty good.
Alright, so I took 1 of each color, and we're going to do the bigger subcuts first, because we need the leftovers for something else, for the smaller subcuts.
My lovely wife and I are getting ready for a giant yard sale the end of this week. Well, then I guess it'd be next week. This is the end of this week, but next Friday and Saturday, we're emptying out our garage.
Alright, so, got these.
And don't you guys forget about the raffle. Her 3 beautiful quilts. People have already been bugging her to buy them on their own, but no, we're sticking to the raffle. We've told them.
Yeah, it's for a raffle, so I didn't want to like ruin anything.
She has already been bugged for people to buy them individually.
Alright, and then you need a rotary cutter. We're going to cut the salvage off first.
Well, years ago, Diane, I used to do yard sales hoping to make money. Now, honestly, I just want to get rid of this stuff. We do one every year before Christmas, and whatever doesn't sell, we pretty much give away. We call it our big Christmas giveaway. Because once it goes out there, I don't want to repack it. So whatever doesn't sell gets all given away.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm talking over you. It's your
Okay.
live, and I'm talking.
Alright, if you guys have a piece of paper and a pencil and you want to write these numbers down, please do so, because either way I'm going to put it in the description later, but for now, follow along. So we're starting with the largest cuts first, all the way down to the smallest cuts. So, from this, I still have 1 of each color. This is why I said 2 of each color. I've stacked 4 of the colors right now, and I am going to cut a 14.5 rectangle off of my 2.5 inch strip. So I'm going to line it up on, this is why I said use your 6x24, because my biggest square ruler is actually only 12.5, and probably all of yours is the same thing. So I use my 6x24 for this one. So we're going to cut 14.5 inch. I'm going to slide that aside. Then the next one, stay, is 12.5 inches. So I'm going to line it up on my 12.5. And yes, I'm hanging off my table, but I want you guys to be able to see me lining it up on the 12.5. And hopefully that's seeable, but probably isn't, because my camera is not good enough for that.
It's kind of hard to see the numbers.
Okay. Then the next cut, let's move this over. is going to be 12 and a half again, so hopefully we can get 12 and a half out of the last of this one. This is why I said we're starting with the big numbers first. Right here, line it up, it's on 12 and a half. Cut it, and my little leftover cuts, these ones from this, I'm just putting aside because they will be used later. And now we're going to line the next ones up. And the next numbers are even smaller.
Teresa says she doesn't get notifications. She doesn't know why, but she doesn't get notifications.
You might have to adjust your settings from a regular computer, Teresa, because I had to go in on the regular computer to do mine. I wasn't getting notifications for any of the people I watch either, and I had to go on the computer and change for every single channel that I watch. It was so weird. I had to change it for every single one of them. Alright, hold on. I'm going to put these down so they can at least see if it's readable. These are my 14 and a half. Where is that? My 14 and 12s. That way I don't forget. I have little markers. So these are my 14 and 12s.
Teresa says she hasn't used her computer in a year.
I don't use a computer either. My husband has his own. I don't know. I only use it to do the YouTube thing every once in a while, but you guys have said many times that that camera is just way too blurry and pixelated 90% of the time, so. And I've seen some of my videos, they are pretty bad. That is why we're raising money for me to get a camera.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know how to do online stuff or don't want to do the...
Oh, we forgot to announce it. If you guys don't have a way to put money, if you want to enter the raffle and donate towards the cause with the $5, if you have no way to do it online or you don't do electronic, paying things electronically, you could also send the money through the mail to my P.O. Box, which is down below in the description. So.
As long as it gets here before the 7th.
Yeah, it has to be here before the 7th. That's one thing I should let you guys all know. If not, then whoever sends it too late won't get into the giveaway. So I would say like a week. By New Year's, you guys should have had it all in the mail, because with the mail being slow in the holiday and stuff. All right, selvage off of that one. So we got 14 and a half, 12 and a half, 12
Christy
and a half,
just finished 2 quilts.
and now 10 and a half. So I'm just going to come over here. Who did?
Christy.
Finished 2 quilts.
Yep, she just finished 2 quilts. She's proud of herself.
Awesome.
And since they go off so quick, 2 more people said things, but I didn't get to.
All right, so this cut now is a 10 and a half inch cut. Obviously, it's not in the same order as these ones.
Well, thank you, Teresa. Teresa's sending out a card and a check.
All right. Now the next cut. I'm going to stick these aside because I want all these colors to be mixed around really good. So I'm just going to move these over to the ironing board, I guess, and grab 4 more. Because those pieces that were left over just now, those will go
thank you
towards
too,
something
Diane.
else. So now, 1, 2. I'm just choosing 4 singles now because of my next cuts are smaller
Get
for
out of the way.
each section.
I'm gonna go get some ice cream.
Okay, I'll be right here.
Yep. Tell you about the garage experience.
Garage experience?
Yeah.
Disaster?
You came in the house.
Oh. All right. 1, 2. You forgot the cat. He was on his way out. 1, 2, 3, and another one. 4.
Not hear me.
All right. So now I'm putting 4 more, but these ones are singles because these colors have already been used in doubles. All right. Now let's cut the selvage off of these. I'm trying to line it up on a line at least so that everything is sort of straight, but since I've been making this, it's coming out okay. All right, so these next 4 cuts are going to be 9.5, which I can now switch to a smaller square. So let's go to 9.5. I'll line it up right here. I'm going to separate these as well, so they're going to go up here. And then we have 7.5. I'll just try to make sure it's nice and straight. And then 7.5 again. Again, for those of you who want to do this one, I'll just put the all the cuts and stuff below. And the next one is 5.5. And then from this same section, I'm going to cut a 4.5 and 2 2.5s. I gotta re-straighten that edge up, moving it around. A little bubble. Straighten it back up. All right, so a 4.5. And 2 2.5s. Obviously, a smaller ruler for even this part would be better. But that works. Remember that last leftover piece from the last cuts from the large ones? Those ones that I set aside, those will be for the next set of 4 blocks, starting with the smaller cuts. If that makes any sense. So that when I cut these ones and I had that big long piece left over, that will start with the smaller cuts on when you get to your next block. That's how it works. So your leftovers go towards the next blocks, if that makes sense. So my little scraps go in my little scrap bin. All right, so we have, hopefully you guys can see all this. Obviously this would be the same because these are all the same. So there's 14.5, 12.5, 12.5, 10.5. Those were the first cuts. Then up here we have 9.5, 7.5, 7.5, 5.5. Then we have 4.5, 2.5, 2.5. So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave you guys in the same angle that you're in, and I'm going to move my little jelly roll out of the way so that I can show you how this gets done. If I had myself a little helper, this would be so much easier. I don't have no helper today. Scott's just doing other things. All right. Let's move this out of the way. Move this out of the way. Move this out of the way. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take our 1.5 inch strips. These are my cut from yardage. I just was rolling them out of the way. This isn't as many as you would need. Obviously 2.5 inch strip or 1.5 inch strips, we need 28 of them. So I'm just going to cut some real quick. I'm going to start with my bigger cuts. Just going to use 2 pieces for the bigger cuts because we're going to try to just get 1 block out of the way. But we're cutting 4 at a time, so it does a whole block. Whole 4 pieces, you know. So 4. 1 cut is 4 pieces for each, 1 for each block, because we're making 4 blocks right here. But I'm only going to show you how to make 1. But this makes 4. All these cuts. So this, from the white, we're gonna do big ruler again. We're gonna cut 15.5. And this is the finished size of one single block, by the way, is 15.5 inches. And then these other two, we are going to cut 14.5 and line them back up, nice and neat. Move our 15.5s out of the way. Straighten up that edge. And I can't see comments right now, guys. I'm trying to do these cuts real quick. I'm exhausted, so I don't want to cut myself. Alright, so this next one is a 14.5. So I'll find my 14.5 on my big ruler, my long one, cutting with it sideways, which helps because you can align on your strips. Make sure it's nice and straight. So these ones can go over here for now. Okay. Now we need to cut, take two more. Those are nice and straight because I already cut the selvage off. Now we're going to cut a 10.5 and a 9.5 from 4. So I'm getting 4 pieces every time. There's two strips here. I'm getting 4 cuts every time. So here's 10.5, and I'm stacking them where I can find them. And the next one is 9.5. And this will start making sense soon. And I'm just keeping I'm stacking all of my whites on my square ruler to keep them together, if you guys couldn't see over there. Now we're going to cut, where are we? Right here. We can get it off of here. Let's see. We need a 5.5 and a 4.5. So let's try to get a 5.5 and a 4.5 off these little leftover pieces here. Line them all back up. I'm going to cut 5.5 off of this. That's why I cut the big ones first, because the smaller numbers you can get from the leftovers. That's 5.5. Let's keep that over there together. And this one is going to be 4.5. And I'll get to the comments as soon as I finish this last cut. Alright. Alright, so now all of my white pieces I'm going to keep together. They're already pre-cut and ready for me. Alright. Sounds cold there. What are you guys talking about? The biggest ruler? Yeah, that's why I decided to use this, because it's for strips anyway, so it makes it easier. So I'm going to move this ruler out of the way. And we are going to lay out, those have not been cut yet. We're going to lay out one block to start. So I'm going to take from this pile of the 2.5, so I'm going to take 2 of these, and it's corresponding. We want all 3 of its corresponding colors. The rest I'm just going to throw out of the way. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to lay these out right here like this, so that you guys can see. This is going to get very big when I lay it out. I'm also going to take one of my background colors, the little 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece with the diagonal, and I'm going to lay it on here. So if it's facing me, I want the diagonal line going catty corner away from me and coming to me instead of far away. So I don't want it this way, I want it this way. Okay? Hopefully I can hold this down and show you guys in a minute. Now we're going to choose a different color. We'll do this one. We're going to go to the next pile and we're going to pull out all 4 of these matching colors. I want all 4 of them. And this is how it's going to work. Move that out of my way. Okay, so I'm gonna put this as close to me as I can. It's good if you have a table or something that you can keep in front of you, keep all your pieces together. So we got those there. Next thing we're going to do is take a 4.5 inch white, and I'm going to put it on the side where when I make this seam, I'm going to seal it off. This is going to look really funny because everything does not have its seams missing yet. And then I'm going to take my background white, and I'm going to place my 5.5 inch right here. Then I'm going to take my next one, sealing this seam, it's going to go there, and then that's the 5.5 inch, and this is now a 7.5 inch. I want those here first, but before I do anything, I'm going to grab 2 more of my background white pieces. And this is the tricky part, is see my diagonal line? I want them to place a certain, this is my block face up right here. God, this camera is like in the wrong position for this. Let's try to come over here some. Alright, let's see. Is that a better angle right here? Okay. So, this is a 5.5 inch by 2.5 inch piece right here. That's the first one is going to get a 2.5 inch square. My next one on the other side is going to get a 2.5 inch square. So that when you sew on this line, when you fold it over like this, you want the point to be next to your white. Okay? You want the big part of it to be down on this side. Okay? So that way it's like this. So when you look at it, the line's going to go the same way. So this one, when it's folded over after you sew the line, the point will be at the top next to the white. Okay? Do you guys understand that? So it'll be sitting like this. Let's see if I can fold them to where they stay. Once that line is sewn, it's going to sit like that. And that's not really going to stay. So, alright, I'm going to take my next 7.5 inch piece of the corresponding color, and that's going to seal off the seam. Once these are together, these two will be, sealed off with this one. And then my 9.5 inch piece will be on there. Then you go over to your white pile and you grab your 9.5 inch, sealing off that seam, which is going to be there. And you grab one of your 10.5 inch, which will go here, sealing off those two when they're connected. Now we're going to move these out of the way because they're going to keep getting bigger. We need 2 more. You only need 5 white squares per block, okay? Let me see if I can't fold this one, so you guys can see what we're doing here. Stay. Nope, not going to stay. Now I'm going to grab 4 matching pieces from this pile. So 1, 2, this is the smallest. Let's grab the next biggest. 3, and number 4. I'm going to stack all these up out of my way, just remembering that they're sizes, which my little piece of paper fell, and I don't know where it fell. You can number your sizes, mark your sizes. Alright, now we are going to take, on this side, that is the 10.5 inch piece, and we're going to put another one of these squares over here in this corner. Again, that line is going to be, they're going to be coming out. So if this is the front of the block, if this is the way you're looking at it, this is the way you guys are, this piece will fold out. Again, once it's sewn, this piece, the diamond, the part that comes to a tip will be up next to the white. And then we're going to take this, oh, that one was a 9.5, right? No, that's a 10.5, yep. And here's the same thing. Now we're going to put this one right here. I'm hoping you guys can still see, because I'm starting to get further away, further away. My goodness. This one's going to be the same thing. So these lines are going to come out, so when you fold it out, after it's sewn, that tip will be next to the white. So now we're going to put the next piece up here, which is 12.5, and the next one right here, which is 14.5. Obviously you're going to have a big gap because it's not sewn together. And then those last two pieces is your 14.5 white and your 15.5 white. So I have 3 more whites of all the sizes right here, and then 3 more of every single one. So this makes 4 blocks total, all these cuts, which is good. That's what you want. So again, 5 2.5-inch white squares with a diagonal line drawn across them, placed strategically on the block so that you know, and make sure that you always look back at it and always lay things down. We're going to start sewing in a second. So it's 2.5-inch of the colors, 2 of those, 1 4.5. Then you have your 4.5 and 5.5-inch white. Then you're going to have a 5.5-inch color of a different color that where there's colors are moved around. And then 7.5. Both of those are the first ones. Always your first one after the white will get a white. And then 7.5, and then 9.5. Then we have 9.5 and 10.5 white. Then we go to 10.5, 12.5. Both of those are the first ones after the white, so those will get the little white added to them. And 12.5, 14, 12.5 and 14.5. Then you're going to have 14.5 here and 15.5 here, sealing it off. So let's put this together, and then you can see how it comes out. Let's put this back over here now. Really can't get it too messed up. So you guys, I'm going to leave it to where you can see me grabbing. So if you don't see my face, I'm sorry. All right. Let's throw that out of the way. Move my block. So again, this is what we're making. I'm going to try not to mess anything up. I'm going to lay it here. This is what we're making. And we're just going to make this easier by holding it up so you can see this is what we're making. We're going to make 4 of what I just laid out. 4 of them make this. And then 4 of these are going to make the quilt that we're making from this. My wonderful design. Which will make a 60 by 60 minus no sashing. With no sashing or anything, and you just hook them together, you'll have a 60 by 60 quilt. So, all right, let's get to it. And I'm gonna stand to do all this because I'm like, the more I have to keep getting up and sitting down, it just gets horrible for me. And it's good to have an iron nearby. It'd be very nice to have your iron nearby. So I'm going to move mine sort of close so I can get to it quicker. But not too much in my way. Ow. All right. Alright, so the iron is now on and nearby. Alright. That camera angle is totally off. I need you to be just a little bit more that way. That way you guys can see me laying them back down. So I'm going to grab this first piece. I'm going to line it up and I'm going to sew on my drawn line. On my drawn line. Okay? And I look just to make sure whatever side, when I fold it open, obviously you can't see my white, but when I go to fold it open, I want to make sure whatever side I choose to keep and not chop off meets the end, which looks like they're both meeting. This one meets better, so I'm going to chop this side off a 1/4 inch away. I like to be accurate when I trim my pieces. The 1/4 inch away from the line. So I'm going to take it over to the ironing board and I'll be right back. I'm pressing it to the dark, by the way. Just the way I was laying it, I'm pressing it to the dark. And yes, I use steam. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to lay it back right here to make sure that's where I want it and that's where I want it. So now I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to fold it back one more time before I sew it. Make sure that it's angled the way I want it to be angled. And I'm bringing it over to the sewing machine just the way it is. Make sure it stays lined up on the block. Put it down. And sew. I'm also going to grab this next one. I'm going to leave that on the machine. I'm going to make sure that this one, when I sew it, comes down and my point will be next to the white. And that's where I want it. So I'm going to bring it over, holding it just the way I want it. And I'm going to sew that line on the line. Take these two apart. I'm going to press them. I'm going to press the white back. Make sure it's where I want it to be. And yes, I use lots of steam, but you guys know that. So this one goes here, and this one goes here. You make sure they are where you need them to be, and you make sure that you did them right. So my points are going to be up towards the white before I trim those off. And then I'll just take them right here, fold it back, trim that off real quick. A 1/4 inch away. And I save my little pieces, you guys know that. So I always end up making mini quilts with my little pieces. I have a thing for mini blocks. Don't know why, I just do. So I'm going to lay it back where it goes. And I'm going to do the next two just because I'm right here. I'm going to fold it back, make sure the point is where I want it. Same with this one. Fold it back, make sure that point is where it needs to be. Bring it over. Turning it around. And sewing from on that line. I'm going to leave it on there. Grab this one. I'm going to sew on that line. Get over, get over. Let me press this piece real quick. It's got a little lip from the fold. It's annoying me. From where the fabric was folded. So I'm going to real quick look at my block. Just one more time before I sew it, and that's the way I want it. Just because I had to take it out of the way. It's really easy to get messed up on this. Trust me, I did. When I first started putting it together, I had two pieces that I had backwards, and I did it like 3 times in a row, too. So it's best to just make sure real quick. And sorry I'm not totally talking to you guys like I normally would. I'm going to go press these back, but I've been like so busy, and I just want to like, I'm not trying to hurry up and get off, but I really want to get this done. Because I really want you guys to be able to see. So right now I'm just folding that white out of the way, making sure it's laying nice and flat. Before I cut it though, I'm going to lay these back and make sure that my point is up to the white. And then I'll just take and trim that extra little piece off. I just fold it out of the way. Make sure you fold it out of the way too, because or else you'll cut the whole thing and then you'll have to start right over. And this just barely gives enough using those jelly roll strips. Like you literally barely have any left. So once you make those cuts, there's not going to be much left to wiggle around with, you know. And again, don't worry, I will put the measurements and all the cutting stuff in the description below after the video. Alright, so everything is laying the way I want it, facing the way I want it. I'm going to start by sewing these two. I'll just pull this one over. Sewing these two together. And this is where the log cabin part comes in. I'm going to put my little guide here. I have an issue with straight lines. I just cannot sew straight lines for the life of me, so I use a guide. You guys don't have to, but I definitely do. So now I'm going to finger press this to the dark, and I'm going to make sure it's the way I want it. So I want it out, so this next piece is going to come over on top of it, and it's going to be exact, literally exact. There's no wiggle room at all, because if you sew those 1/4 inch seams, everything should come exact the whole time. And then I'm going to finger press this back to the dark, and then I'm going to press it real quick at the iron. Add me some steam like I always do. Bring it back right here in the position that I want it. I always want this. So if I'm standing here, this is me standing facing my block, I always want this white down at the corner. If you turn it around, you're going to lose your design. So I always want that white down at the corner, okay? I'm hoping you can see all that. So now we're going to seal this seam off by adding this little 4.5 inch piece on this side. And you guys can press these back. I've been pressing towards the dark, so I've been folding the white under. That's my own personal preference. I actually don't like 90% of white fabrics. You can actually see the seam, so I personally put all my dark seam. When I use white, I press to the dark. Even if it gives me a bulky seam, I still press it to the dark. Now I'm laying my 5.5 inch piece on here. Sewing a 1/4 inch. And then I just flip my seam back. I press every 2 times, but you can sure as if you want to press every single time. Okay, so I'm going to lay it back where I want it. That's how I want it. I'm going to start by, see how this seam is right here? I always call this sealing off the seam. Adding this to it seals off that seam. So now I'm going to add my 5.5 with my triangle pretty much up to the top like that. Right sides together. Come over to the machine. Sew 1/4 inch. I'm going to finger press that back. I'm going to lay it back right here, making sure that's the way I want it, right? So now I'm going to seal this seam off with this one. Making sure it's nice and lined up. I'm not stretching, pulling, or tugging. I'm just making sure everything's nice and lined up. And now I'm going to press on the iron real quick. Pretty much every 2 blocks I've been pressing. And I got Mr. McSteamy all nice and hot for me. So now, see how I just laid that there and I messed it up? Always make sure that this white, or whatever color you're using as your pop color or your accent color, is always away from you. It's coming to your left-hand side. So now I'm going to seal this seam off now with this one. This is the 7.5 inch piece. I'm going to line them up. They should line up like perfect because of the cuts. As long as your 1/4 inch seam is perfect, these should line up. It's just like anybody else that writes a pattern. They make that, you know, your subcuts perfect. And then you get super frustrated if it never lines up. That's because your 1/4 inch seam most likely didn't line up. So I'm going to finger press that back. Obviously I'm going to lay it right here, making sure that's out. And I'm going to be sealing this seam off now. So I'm going to put that one right sides together. This is my 9.5 inch piece. I'm going to line it up on here. Yep, this is one jelly roll. 42 strips. So I finger press that. I'm going to press it real quick. Sorry I'm not getting to all your guys' comments. I will look at some more in a second. Again, that's going to be out towards my left when I'm facing it. Let me see what you guys are saying real quick. Oh my god, you guys are talking a lot. Alright, you're trying to write down those, Michelle. That's awesome. Alright. I'll go through it all one more time. All the measurements, I'll tell you guys all one more time before I end the video, obviously. Sorry you guys can't see my face either. Plus, let's see, ZI2, thing, very loud, headphones, that's beautiful, 1 jellyroll, how much white? 2 yards. 2 yards of your background color, which would be 28 1.5 inch strips and 8 2.5 inch strips. And actually, I gave you guys an allowance for like boo-boos by like 1.5 inches. So, yeah. All right. Now we're going to take our 9.5 inch white, sealing this seam, right sides together. Obviously with solids, there's no right or wrong side. We're going to just say there is for video purposes. I've technically already made 8 of these blocks, so which made 2 big blocks. And the big blocks finish at 30 inches, so I'm going to press that back real quick with the iron. It's not laying nice for me right now. So I laid it back. Now I have an open seam here. I'm going to seal it off. That's how also you know you're doing it right. You're sealing your seams. Lay that on there. Should be exact. And again, you can finger press this out like normal, but I'm actually going to the dark, so I'm pressing it under. I'm going to lay it back right here, grabbing our next piece. You know it's the next piece, the right one that's going to go. This one won't fit. You know what I'm saying? You'll know it's the right one is if you're sealing your seam off. Also remembering, making sure that that point is to this, not the whole wide piece. You don't want the wide part to it. You want the point to it, okay? All right, sides together. I wish I was blessed with the money to just help you. Yeah, we'll get one. We'll see. It's going to be on there for a month, so hopefully in a month I can raise at least enough to get, if I don't get for the camera that we're thinking about getting, then obviously it's to the pawn shop I go, because that's the only other place I can think of getting a camera for cheap. I don't know if any of you guys are photographers or anything on the side or know anything about video equipment. Unfortunately, the one that I want is over $500. And I was so surprised when I saw how much a camera costs. I was like, I bought my first video camera for like $50 back in the 90s. But obviously I can't use my video camera because it's a high 8, and you can't use high 8s for YouTube, which kind of sucks because I do actually have a video camera. So unfortunately, the cameras are very expensive. I'm going to finger press this back, and then I'm going to take it over to the iron real quick. And if you have threads sticking through, it happens with fabrics that shred. Alright. Next piece on, so I'm going to lay it right here. See? So you know that this one don't go. It'll be this one. Okay? See? Lines up just perfect. Right sides together. We are sealing that seam off. This is the, I think we're on the 12.5 inch piece right now. Yep. It's a 12.5 inch piece. So right now the block is 12.5 inches square. And then we're adding this, which will make it 12.5 by 14.5. You don't want that, so you know you have to keep going. So I'm going to press that back. I'm going to lay it here because now it's getting bigger. And then this next one is now 14.5 inch piece. Right sides together, sealing off that seam. Obviously, we don't normally make blocks this big, but this idea that I had in my head, I had to get it out, and I wrote it, and I still haven't named it. So if you guys want to take a look at the blocks again, you can 100% help me name it. Just like the last one came from you guys helping me name it. Alright, so we're going to lay it here. Again, this is to my left. Look at that big difference. It was sticking up way out here, and now it's like way closer. So now we're going to seal that seam off with this white, right sides together. The cut should be perfect, so they should lay on there just right. I did all the math properly. Actually did proper math all by my lonesome, which is a miracle for me. I didn't have to ask my husband for any help. This one was all me this time. Now if I could just figure out how to make it downloadable, that would be even better. But my smarts just don't go that far. And last but not least, the only seam to seal off is this one. So that's the 15.5 inch by 1.5 inch last and final piece. And I didn't do any back stitching. I will when 4 blocks get connected together, but tonight we're just making 1 block, and I will come back with how to put more than 1 block together. But I haven't even eaten yet, so. Alright, I'm just going to press this back real quick. I'm going to give it a press real quick with the iron. It's a big block, so it's actually bigger than my ironing board. It actually is hanging off the ironing board. And there we have it. 1 block. So again, it's the same procedure over and over again. Every single block is being made just like this. And let me put the camera up so I can show you how it works in. I'm just going to lay these on the floor so that you guys can see how it works in. And then I'll take it to the floor. All right. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. Are you kidding me? Or are you kidding me? There we go. All right, there's 2 of them next to each other. Obviously, it's not as close as I would like it, but this is how this works in. This 1 block that's right here, that same block made the same exact way, turned 1 time, goes here. Then you turn it 1 more time, it goes down here. Then you turn it 1 more time, and it sits right there. Okay? So, let me show you on this, because I don't know if you could see that screen, that angle. Goes this way, you turn it 1 time, and it fits there. 1 time, and it'll fit up here. And 1 time more, and it fits here. So we're making that exact same block 4 times. Technically, you're making it 16 times to make 4 big blocks. So that's how it works out. So, make it where you guys can see me. There's Thumper's quilt, by the way, all nice and done. So, there we have it. This is what we're making. So, I will put the directions, I'll tell them all to you again. For the 1 block, you just twist it, and twist it, and twist it, makes the whole 4 pieces. 1 block is the same thing over and over again. 16 times total for the 1 block. So the measurements again, and I'm going to put this against me so I can tell you. Right here in this corner, we have our background color, which is white. All these whites. You need 28. I can't hold up 8 fingers while I'm holding this, but 28 1.5-inch strips. 8 2.5-inch strips being subcut into 2.5-inch squares, which make up these. You need 5 2.5-inch squares per block. You only get 16 per one strip, so there'll be just a little bit, a couple blocks left over. But that works out perfect because we're going to use them when I go to the next part after the blocks are made. All right. From the jelly roll, I'll tell you the numbers from the smallest number to the biggest number, and then I'll tell you from the biggest number how I cut them. So 2.5-inch square, 2.5-inch square, 4.5-inch by 2.5-inch, which is this section right here with my 2.5-inch cut on it. And obviously I can't see comments, you guys, because I'm just doing this real quick. Then we have a 4.5-inch white strip and a 5.5-inch white strip. Then we go to 5.5-inch. That one gets that first piece that's closest to the white. We'll get that half square triangle added to the end of it. And then we go to 7.5-inch. That first one is the one that gets the triangle. Triangles, when you sew your line, your diagonal line on that line, make sure that it's the part that touches the white. The tip of it would be the part touching the white. We want our, what's making pretty much flying geese, we want those to float. That's the whole purpose. Then we go to another 7.5. We're sealing the seams as we go, and then we go to 9.5. 9.5-inch white, 10.5-inch white. Then we go to 10.5-inch of a color, and that first color is the one that gets the 2.5-inch square on the diagonal with the white up at the top corner. Same with the first one on this one. That one gets the 2.5-inch, so this one is a 12.5-inch. Then your next solid, or your next print from your jelly roll strip piece is 12.5, and then the next one is 14.5. Then this outer white is 14.5, and this is 15.5, creating the block. So backwards, the way I cut these, we are cutting 14.5-inch, 4 for every block. That's why I said 2 jelly roll strips. If you take your jelly roll and you look at it and you go, okay, that has 2, there's 2, there's 2 of every color. That's what you want to see. It doesn't matter how many different colors, as long as you see 2, because you won't get the matching. But you can go ahead and do this scrappy. It wouldn't be no big deal, but the illusion that we're trying to create of the thickness, that's kind of what I'm going for. Small prints make the best. That's why I chose a bunch of small prints instead of large floral prints. So I chose small ones so they blend together and you can't tell that it's 2 strips, you know, in between every block. So, all right, so let's start over. From the bottom, we took 2 jelly roll strips. We separated, you know, the same color. We separated them into 2 different piles for the bigger cuts and for the smaller cuts. For the bigger cuts, we start with 14.5, then 12.5, then 12.5, then 10.5, and you'll get that until from the 3 first cuts come from 1 strip. You guys already saw that, and then you already have to pull out 4 more for the next. Then we cut 9.5, 7.5, 7.5, 5.5. So the next section, and then your leftover from the other previous ends, you will cut 4.5, 2.5, and 2.5. So that'll leave you with this left over. We want these left over. I have more, I don't know where I put them. We want these left over because these are actually going to start becoming parts of how the quilt is put together. So save all your leftover pieces. This is going to be next cuts, adding to the same colors, but all the ones that don't have no more left of the same color, they will become part of something else that's being built with my design. So just remember that. And anything else, I'm saving all the little squares too. So let's see what you guys are saying here. And this is my Thumpy's quilt, by the way. He's been laying on it, so obviously it's been sitting in a chair. But See how close I can get so you guys can even see the quilting. Can you see the quilting? Can you see it? Let's see, right there. Yep, you can see it. So that's the quilting. I just did the same thing I showed you guys I was doing that one day. And then I bound it in the leftover fabric from my daughter's binding from her cross quilt. My mitered corners. I sew onto the back and then flip to the front, if you guys haven't noticed. It's just the way I do it. I do it tons of different ways, but mainly from the back to the front. All right, let's see. You like how I was modeling it? Awesome. So, I hope, did I make and show that very understandably for you guys? The only tricky part is those floating, what becomes a floating, oh my god, what is it called? Flying geese. That's the only part that's tricky, is making sure that you have those 2.5-inch squares angled the right way. Just remember that the tip of it always goes towards a white. The tip always goes towards a white. So, yes, I love it. I think that if I could just write it all down and you guys can download it, it would be so much easier. If anybody out there, actually, any of you that follow me, know of somebody that knows how to make patterns, maybe there's a professional out there that actually writes and sells patterns, who can like assist me with, I know how to write in a file thing on a computer. I know how to do that on Word programs. I don't know how to add pictures, like when you buy a pattern and you open up that pattern and you see the picture like that. I don't know how to put those little drawings to have an arrow pointing thing. I don't know how to add that kind of stuff. So if any of you know how to, or know someone that knows how to, maybe you guys want to get in touch with me on one of my other social medias linked below, so that I can actually learn how to do that for everybody else, so that you guys can have my free patterns, other than me trying to explain it, you know, and or holding up a piece of paper, which makes it kind of funny. All right, let's see. Alrighty. Okay, I don't see anything asking any questions, so I'll ask him, Vicky. I asked a couple other people. They said, "Oh, I don't know how to do that. I never wrote a pattern," because they're not pattern writers, so most people don't know. So I'm gonna hold this up again so you guys can see. Anybody have any questions about the block? Again, the smaller part creates a 15.5-inch square, and for 15.5-inch squares minus the 1/4-inch seam creates a 30-inch block here. Okay, and it's the same block repeated over and over again, just like so, 4 times, and then you flip it, bam, becomes that again. So you guys get the general idea. I'll come back with putting all of them together. Once you make 4, I'll come back with how to put 4 together. Right now I need to eat and stuff. I'm like starving. But I'll come back with how I put these together, since I pressed my seams all to the dark. Obviously putting it together requires pins, so that would be pretty much it. Just make sure you make piles, obviously, with your sizes, and again, I'll add all that to the description below. So make sure you make piles and put a little tag. Remember I told you guys you can use sticky notes, the little sticky notes if you want. They have them on all sizes. These are tagging size, especially if it's going on the pile, or if you want each piece individually marked. Don't forget there's dots. Dots don't stick very well to some fabrics, but they work for me. So you insert a box, add the picture to box. I don't know with Windows. I don't even know what our computer is. I know it's something. I don't even know. I know where the menu thing is, but I don't know half the programs that are on there. I didn't even know why they're there. I am not computer smart, you guys. That's one thing I've not gotten that far yet, so. Alright. Alright, let's see. Anything else? I hope you guys understand, and I hope you liked today's tutorial on the new block I created that makes one big huge block that will make a, with borders and everything, it'll be about 68, 70-ish, somewhere in that, by 68. So it'll be a square quilt, which is going to be awesome. So just wait, we'll see how it goes. And the next video, it'll be called a Sew Sunday extension of the new pattern. It'll just, you know what I mean? It won't be Sunday again. It'll be sometime during this week that we get the next parts going. Because obviously I'm not going to let all that just sit there because I have other projects to do. So I have all this big huge bag of fabric to put together now. So I have to design something for that. It's more customer stuff. All right, guys. 17 watching. Wow. Thumbs up. Awesome, 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 guys. So, all right. Hope everyone has an amazing Sunday. I'm Tiffany. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button when the bell comes up. Hit that so you can get notifications when I'm on. And for those of you who have trouble, don't forget to go onto a regular computer and go into your settings in your YouTube profile about your notifications, because I'm pretty sure that is easily fixed because I did it from my husband's computer and I'm a moron, so I figured it out. I'm pretty sure everyone else could figure it out. But don't forget to subscribe for those of you who are new, and every Sunday is Sew Sunday, and in between I just have days of the week that I sew for you guys. So thank you for watching. Talk to you guys next time. Bye, everyone. Time for me to go eat.